The Uber rider I was just with was making a comment that I wanted to chat a little bit about. She was saying to me, "You would be a really good psychologist. Why don't you consider going into psychology?" Now, this isn't the first time I've heard this. Many people, after interacting with me, have this feeling that is similar to one who has the skills of a psychologist. In the way I ask questions, in the way that I guide the conversation, there's just that feel that comes out, and apparently I do it really well. As a people pleaser once upon a time, I used to listen to the way people told me their feedback about their experience with me after having time. And they would tell me, "Oh, you should try this, you'd be good at this, and you really need to consider this." And at that time, I was just all over the place. I was like, okay, I should do this and I should do that, and they think I should invest myself here. And so there's a lot of investment that way once upon a time. However, I've really honed in and worked on these patterns where I have been undoing a lot of those people-pleasing tendencies. And for me, what I go through now is what I call my cost analysis. My cost analysis is basically how I contrast the cons and the pros that a certain opportunity provides for me in my experience. And so when I'm asked to consider doing something, I'm like, what are the pros and what are the cons, and where do they lie? Which one has a more substantial weight? Is it the pros or is it the cons per se? Now, I love psychologists and I love the work that psychologists do, and I'm sure I would do really well in that career, for example. But I often wonder at what point I will be asked to come up to the threshold of things that I don't want to subscribe to. And I can't help but feel that in that career, there are certain scenarios or certain contexts in which I would want to say something that I feel compelling, whether by way of guidance or insight or whatever, that I feel the job would say is not permitted because of the parameters that the job draws. And so that's what I'm thinking about when I think about that opportunity to be a psychologist, is that there are some experiences, and I've heard this from other psychologists, where they're like, "Oh, I wanted to say this or to, move towards this direction, but I just couldn't because the job would not permit me to, the commitments that I've made to the job." That's the kind of cost analysis that I find really necessary in the way that I decide and choose where I want to show up and where I don't, per se. So yeah, I appreciate that intentionality. And as I was sharing that perspective, my Uber rider was just saying, "I've never considered that my choices could have a cost effect on me." What are yours? I'd love to hear.